Welcome back to Healthy Nasty Kitchen podcast. Today we're gonna talk finally about mental health in the hospitality industry, especially because that's the industry where I come from, and I feel very strongly about this topic because I've been through hospitality depression. I've been through so much pain, and especially in the last year or so. So I really want to talk. I really want to invite guests on this show because I want to hear the stories. I want to hear whatever it's in their mind, whatever was in their mind at the time where they were trying to communicate their pain or the times of suffering and so on. So I want to start straight away from reading from a page that I found on internet that was actually talking about mental health in the hospitality. So here we go now. The topic title starts with this: mental health in the hospitality. It's a serious problem, so how can we tackle it? And this is from the November 16th in 2020. And I must say, from my point of view, the main reason why I felt depressed or unhappy in their environment was because we are all made work so much. We are overworked, and the expectation of not only the performance to be high, but also to be present at work when you are not meant to be, it's burning. It's destroying. Especially it destroys your mental strength, it destroys your soul, and eventually destroys your physical uh, health as well. So one of the questions that they're rising in this article is: did you know that 91% of hospitality workers are worried about mental health in hospitality? And the answer: it's a pretty shocking statistic. That's why we must talk about it and find solutions for improving mental health in hospitality. So why is mental health in hospitality workers so bad? We all know what an exciting industry hospo is. Many of us love the fast-paced, adrenaline-filled work. We get a real buzz from seeing the look of satisfaction when we serve an amazing meal to a customer. And that's very true. That's what I remind myself, what I remember, the reason why I wanted to do what I've done for so many years, cooking. It was to see the emotion, the excitement, the eyes, the smell, the look of the food in the face of the customer receiving their plate, that dish, and the satisfaction of hearing a compliment from a customer is something amazing. And for maybe this one, it's also a reason why many people choose to be chefs. It's because they want to hear, they need some kind of approval from others. But working in hospitality comes with some real challenges. The long and irregular hours mean we can't follow a normal sleep routine, resulting in constant tiredness. We spend so long at work that it's hard to maintain relationships with feminine friends outside the industry. There's a culture of using alcohol and drugs to cope with the pressure, which often compounds the problems. And this is so true. I've been through that. I've been through alcohol. I've been through the drugs usage, and unfortunately, this is part of the deal. When you become a chef or a waiter or you work in the hospitality business, because let's say honestly, we have no life. So the only life that we live is the life at night. And what happens at night? All these things come along: drugs, alcohol, sex, dancing, and all of that. So it's true that this is something that's happening. Of course, not all of them are subject to these abuses, but 91% of this population working in this industry are subject to go into those avenues at least once in their lifetime. It's huge, it's too much. And that's because we don't have a life. That's the main reason. Then to top it all off, we are working in a notoriously insecure industry. We're scared of speaking up about our rights, like being paid fairly for the work we do. We suffer from financial stress and the constant fear of losing our shifts if we attempt to complain about our conditions. Well, that's true as well. This industry is so underpaid. It's so underpaid, and as they say here, we are afraid of speaking up the rights are, because we know that the rights in this industry don't have any value. They don't hold any standard. You sign a contract of 38 hours and then you know that you're going to work 60 hours for the same amount of money. That's the issue. It's expected. That's the rule. And it's unfair. It's unfair. When you consider all this, it's not surprising mental health issues are up there for many of us, right? Yeah, that's right. I felt it. I felt it also for other reasons, because my belief of being a chef was because I wanted to develop and to make art on a plate. There was also edible. And then, of course, because you need to sacrifice, because you have a family, you need to bring money home, you need to find a job that gives you the alternative to not working at night. And those jobs usually are jobs made in cafes or restaurants that are very poor because they work only at night, in the day, and you're forced to fall in this trap of why I need to work at night to be able to be professionally happy. And why do I need to work 18 hours a day to be professionally happy? And that's because the world is ruled by money. And that's the main issue. The world is ruled by money. And for that reason, people don't want to pay staff enough because the margins are so low. Because people are not dumb anymore. Customers are not dumb. They're not willing to pay $50 for a dish, even though they don't know how much work there is behind that dish. So cooking at a high level has become an experience, and people are not willing to pay what's the right price for these dishes because they don't know the history, the preparation, the knowledge, the skills required to bring that plate onto your table, even though it's just a tablespoon of food in your mouth. So this is the main issue. There's not enough knowledge. So we have two avenues to go on to. We either double the amount of staff that we have in restaurants, which is not affordable at the standard of economic standards that we live now, and with the taxes and with the pay rates and so on, or we make customers aware of the work that's behind it. Because like gold is so expensive because it requires so much work to be extracted from the soil. To bring you a fabulous 3 Michelin star dish on your table is as much work, sometimes even more, because it's not only the time that the chef spent in the kitchen to be prepared, but it's the time that the chef spent thinking about a dish, trialing about a dish, requiring the prime ingredients, following the seasons, understanding the market, and trying to deal with suppliers. And the suppliers don't deliver always often the right ingredients. This is major, guys. This is major. This is an issue. It needs to be arised. It needs to be shown to the world. And I'm not the only one. I can say I've seen many months ago a lady quitting the pastry chef job in America during the pandemic. And it was a relief for her. When they asked her to go back, she said, "No, thanks. No, thanks." And why is that? Because there's no gratification. There's no thanks. There's no professional achievement as well. It's very hard. It's very hard. So isn't this the reality of working in hospitality? Should we just suck it up? No, we shouldn't suck it up. According to the chef and proud Osper Voice activist James Anthony Consiglio, I need to contact this guy, is the attitude of it's just the Osper industry that's part of the problem. We're normalizing the coping mechanisms that are counterintuitive to good mental health. The hours of work, no social life, constant harassment, alcohol or substance abuse, said James. And I must agree with what he says. James spent part of 2019 hospitalized for mental health issues after the pressure of his industry got too much. He had lost touch with his family and was on a constant working, partying loop. I felt that. I've been through that. He said when he spoke to his psychiatrist, the advice he was given was to get out of the hospitality industry. Thank God I did too. Speaking to some other chefs, and they said the psychics said the same thing, but it's not a solution. We need to change the industry. Exactly, that's my point. Chefs can be chefs, but we need to change the morality in the industry, the expectation in the industry. It's about respecting each other. 100% agree. The team and getting respected from customers. That's another thing. Customers expect so much because they pay big bucks. They work their ass off to be able to provide for the family, and then once upon a time they go out to dinner and they expect to be served as it should be. If you respect the worker in every aspect, it's going to be great. Respect is key. Agree, says James. James is co-leading Respect is the Rule for Osprey Voice, a campaign to make venues safe from sexual harassment. It asks venues and customers to take the pledge to help create safe and respectful environments for the staff. A Osprey Voice survey found that 89% of female Osprey workers have been sexually harassed at work. It's another reason why so many Osprey workers experience poor mental health. And that's true too. So many women are sex harassed. And I have to say that I haven't sexually harassed anybody, but my ex-wife was my colleague. And if you spend most of your waking time at work, how else can you find a partner if not at work, if not into your environment of work? So there must be also reasoning between sexual harassment and flirting, I believe. Because if I found a wife that I loved and I deeply loved in my industry, it's thanks to the industry. It's thanks because she was working with me. I could only speak to her. It's the attitude that this is just the Osprey industry that's part of the problem. James, Osprey Voice leader. A better conversation. It's not common to talk about mental health in the hospitality industry, but that's something we need to change. By creating a community of open conversation, we can reassure everyone that we're there for them. Make sure at the end of the night there is a debrief, have an avenue for stress release, so people can talk about what's happened. James advised. That's a very good point. But how many of us want to spend an extra 15 minutes when we already spent 15, 18, 12, 10 hours already? We just can't wait to get a beer and go home. That's usually the feeling after a stressful service, after cleaning the kitchen of the mess that we created, and so on. Fight for change together. If you're thinking there's not much you can do as an individual in your workplace, you're not alone. Let's be honest. One person in a casualized workforce is going to find it difficult to make any changes, which is why we need to join together. According to James, there are so many chefs and other workers in my position. There are. I can bet there are. There are so many that are being forced, that are faced actually with all of this. It's about coming together and changing the industry because it is broken. It's about collectivizing because the only way we can make the change is together. And that's the way we can make a change in everything. Even this southern war between Russia and Ukraine that I'm not going to touch. But community works. Community works hard and community brings results. Let's keep that in mind in anything that we do as a society, especially micro community in your local suburb. That's what you need to believe in. What can you do to improve your mental health right now? That's a good point, and I want people to listen very carefully to this. Making changes to the industry will have an important impact on our mental health, but change takes time, and that's very important to underline. So what can you do right now to help the way you're feeling? James provides this sentence. That for him, relying on his support network helped and talking to people they trusted. He also thinks it's important to find other things to do outside work. That's so important, especially in 2022 right now, where we can actually maybe develop a side career on the side. But not only that, you can have fun, you can do martial arts, you can go dancing, you can do scuba diving, you can do skiing, you can do paradiving, you can do whatever you want, but you have to do something else. At one point, all I did was work and party. It's about having other outlets outside of your work life. I feel like going to the farmer's market, being outdoors and walking. So in my life as a chef, all I did was chefing. I can tell you that. I did not only work between 10 and 18 hours a day, but any time I had free, I would spend it reading chefs' cooking books that you can see behind me. I read so much. I wanted to learn so much. And I was driven by this anger or hunger for approval. I wanted to be the best chef in the world. And who knows why? I wanted to be the best chef in the world because probably I wanted to be recognized as something. Given that I was bullied all my childhood, I wanted to be good at something. And that was my escape. Chefing was my escape, but I wasn't aware that 20 years after that, I would have suffered so much. I wish I knew. I wish there were people like we are now contributing to this, telling you what's the real truth. How much is damaging for our mental health, this industry. Some other tips include stay connected with your friends, family and colleagues, which is very hard, but you need to push through it. Connect with like-minded hospital workers in our they have a Facebook group. This is interesting. I should go into the Facebook group and then check on it, which is links to resources and community. Engage in healthy activities that you enjoy and find relaxing. Try to be as regular as you can with sleep routines and eat healthy foods. Another topic of cooking is healthy foods. It's so hard to have a break. It's like demanding something that's outrageous in the industry. Oh, a break? Why? Don't you have stuff to do for tomorrow? That's a mentality. That's a mentality. It's sick, guys. I'm telling you. It's sick. I don't know if something has changed in the last 2 years, but I can tell you it's sickening. It makes my stomach sick just thinking about all the time we had to ask. We had to ask for a break. While every other industry in the world has a compulsory break of 30, 15, a tea break as well. It's unbelievable. To try to maintain physical activity. That's very important for anybody in any life, not only if you're mentally unfit. You need to do input physical activity. You need to eat healthy. You need to look after yourself. That's a basic of it. You need to look after yourself through exercise, healthy habits, diet, and proper sleeping. It's important. Consider exploring activities like mindfulness, yoga, and meditation. I must agree, this is so important. But this is not important only in industry, as hospitality industry, as I said to you before. It's important as a rule. This should be taught at school. No losing time explaining history that's not even recollected afterwards. We don't even understand what we've been through now, trying to remember history. People don't remember. Just give them the tools to find out. Mindfulness, yoga, meditation, exercise, healthy diet, and so on. Let's implement this into our schools. Let's implement these rules. Start teaching the children how to live, not how to act. It's important. Unite with other co-workers to improve our industry and join your union. Ospo Voice. This is another talk to have. I joined an union in Italy when I was working in Italy because I was deprived of a wage that I agreed with my owner. And he didn't have to pay me at the end. It's so much unfair. It's so much unfair. You basically worked for free for 3 months. That's what happened to me. Well, it gives us some other lifeline to call. Where else to go for support? It's amazing. And I think that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope if you're listening to this podcast because you are going through mental health issues, especially in the hospitality industry, please send me a message. I want to interview. I want to hear your story. If you know somebody that can speak up for this, like James can, I'm going to definitely contact him and have him on the podcast. I want you to share your story. It's important that more chefs and more future chefs are aware of this and they fight for their rights. That's what's never been done. We've been told the myth of a story that work hard that you're going to get paid for it in the future. That was true partially. If you don't keep working your ass off in the future, you won't get paid as much as you deserve to be paid. That's the real truth. And you'll always be fighting for your breaks, for your rights, for your time with the family, for your holiday, for your days off, and so on. Because you are so necessary. To be honest, I can't wait to have robots in the kitchen and chefs, human chefs, guiding these robots. So at least chefs will still be able to create art, be creative, and deliver goodness on a plate, but there will be robots working physically in there. That would be something amazing. At the end, I say goodbye to you and I hope you get mentally fit. Ciao.